Hi, my name is John.
And my name is Lloyd.
And we're the hosts of The Pint,
a pop culture podcast.
Lloyd, if you had to tell any of the people out there that might be listening to The Pint for the first time about anything unsavory or disconcerting we might do on the show, what would you warn them about?
Well, sometimes we drop spoilers, and sometimes we swear like motherfucking sailors.
Fuck yeah, we do. You heard it from him. You've been warned.
Listen in.
How far to the temple?
Not far now.
Osmond, stay here. Make sure we're not being followed.
Right.
I will stay.
Be careful.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to a brand new episode of The Pint, a pop culture podcast. My name is John.
This is Patrick.
And we're here to talk to you about a place from a land, a planet, long ago or in the future, far away or closer than you think.
It's somewhat vague.
Yeah, very vague. We're taking the Wayback Machine to 1983, and we're talking about what I'm sure Starlog magazine pumped up as the biggest movie that's going to be coming out this year. that wasn't the biggest movie that came out that year. Let's just get right into it. Let's talk all about Krull.
Krull.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
So Patrick, you've got all the production notes on this, but I want to before you start getting into the heavy lifting here, your personal history with Krull.
Krull, believe it or not, Krull was a movie I never actually saw until an adult, but I saw in pieces as a child. I would always catch like 20 minutes on HBO here and there. And it seemed like something I would have been really into, but even as a kid, I wasn't, which is odd because I loved lots of shit back then. But I never sat down and watched the entire thing till I was like maybe 20 or 21, something like that. And it's a movie where I love the idea of it and I love the look of it. And over the years, I've re-gone and tried to give it new chances. And it's never quite the movie that was in my head when I saw the poster as an 8-year-old kid.
Yeah.
So that's, it's kind of my thing. I think I might have had one of the issues. There was a 2-issue Marvel Comics adaptation. I think I might have had one of those issues as a kid.
I feel the same way. I think I saw it in the movies in the theaters, but I'm not sure, but I certainly saw it around that time, whether it be on HBO or, as a matter of fact, my next door neighbor who I was good friends with, his dad had one of those Panasonic, not laser disc, but those like RCA disc players. Do you remember those?
I vaguely do, yeah.
Very rare. Not a lot of people had them. It was clearly an alternative to VHS that didn't last. If you go to the archive in Bridgeport, Connecticut, they actually sell some of those. Like, I'm sure they bought a collection, but I feel like I remember him having the record-sized, Krull with the artwork and everything on it. And almost to the exact same manner as you. It left no real impression on me. Whereas like you said, like I was a kid, I loved stuff like, you throw that stuff at me, I'd eat it up. And this one never really sank in on me. Mm-hmm. I probably had not seen it maybe since my early teens. And about 10 years ago, I went with a couple friends to a Riff Track screening of this. Obviously where Mike Nelson and those guys make fun of this stuff. Mm-hmm. So I saw it in the theaters about 10 years ago, but it was in that capacity and it was quite funny. But I really didn't remember much other than the bullet points, of this movie that, everybody remembers, AKA the GLAIVE. Which,
let's just say this, just before we even start the movie, that's not a glaive.
It's not
a glaive. A glaive is a pole arm. It's a long shaft with a blade, like a 1-edge blade instead of a spear point. That's what a glaive is.
Yeah.
It's not like a 5-armed fidget spinner with little blades that come out. I don't really know where they got that from. I like it. It's a cool name. It's not a glaive.
Yeah. I was looking that up today because I didn't know what a glaive was. And when I was doing the research for this episode, I read that, they basically have the nomenclature of what a glaive is totally wrong. Not to mention, we'll get into it more in the episode, but it is the thing that people think about with Krull. It's an iconic piece of weaponry. And as young boys, we all loved lightsabers and phasers and the glaive. And man, oh man, is it barely used in this movie. It's an afterthought.
That's one of the interesting things about this film. And we're just going to just jump in, I guess. It really, I don't know if it's deliberate or just through weird writing, bad writing. It kind of inverts a lot of the tropes of this kind of thing. You would think the glaive would be the quest they're going on to find this weapon. He gets it in like 5 minutes.
This movie
with no obstacles. It's very all over the place. And sometimes I roll my eyes at it. Sometimes I think it's interesting that they change the standard, beat for beat line of a sword and sorcery movie. So
if I had to give this movie a colon subtitle, it would be, I have two: Krull, the quest for the next quest, because that's the whole movie, is they're on a quest for the next quest to find something or someone that will get them to the next thing. Or the other one would be Krull, soundstage or sets the movie, because this thing is just like, it is all on sound stages. I think that I'm sure you'll mention it, but like something like 10 different sound stages and 23 sets for this movie. So let's just get into it. Patrick, tell us all about the making of Krull.
So we should set the context a little bit. This was in the middle of this flourishing of fantasy movies that I'm not sure when it started. Maybe Dragon Slayer, Clash of the Titans, maybe the Sinbad movies of the 70s, if you want to go that far. Out of nowhere, there was like an explosion. There was the Conan movies. There was, what are some of the other ones here? Never Ending Story. That's more of a kid's movie, but it's still a big one.
Even though it's
Dark Crystal, Legend,
Excalibur.
Yeah. What's the other one I'm thinking of from the 80s? Willow is 88, Labyrinth is 86, and then all the lesser ones like Fire and Ice, that was the animated one, and then there was the Deathstalker movies and Sorceress and The Sword the Sorcerer, and just a ton of these movies, like in a very short, less than 10-year time span. So Krull was distinct because it was a science fiction fantasy movie, although that's not really much of a big element of it. It's almost entirely science, almost entirely fantasy, but the bad guys have laser guns. That's it.
And like you mentioned, this came out at a time where all of the fantasy movies were the rage, but this also came out the same year as Return of the Jedi. And so it's like 6 years after Star Wars. And that is so clearly, like a plot blueprint for this movie,
Yeah. There was a lot of intertwining, I guess, between those two genres at the time. There's some uncertainty about this, but at least according to Wikipedia, other people have disputed the story. But this began when Frank Price, who is president of Columbia, later went on to be at Disney, I think died in a helicopter crash, approached the producer, Ron Silverman, and said, I want to do a Dungeons & Dragons movie. Dungeons & Dragons was in the pop culture at the time, even though a lot of it was the Satanic Panic coverage. It was still quite popular. So that's how this began. And then at some point during, I think quite early into the writing the script and the pre-production, they lost the license. They just said, screw it. And they just pivoted away from Dungeons & Dragons and tried to make a generic fantasy film. I don't know where the science fiction element came in. They went through a lot of scripts. The main writer was Stanford Sherman, who later on went on to write The Ice Pirates.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Spacer piece.
What a 1-2 punch there. Yeah. And then the director who came on was Peter Yates, who's an interesting choice for this. It's kind of outside his wheelhouse. He was just coming off a couple years earlier a Best Picture nomination for Breaking Away, which is the movie about the kids in Indiana, bicyclists. Yeah.
I love that movie, yeah.
He also did The Friends of Eddie Coyle. He did a lot of serious stuff going back 20 years. He hadn't really done anything like Krull. He just found something in the script he liked. And after this, his next movie immediately after this also was nominated for Best Picture, The Dresser. Which is almost totally forgotten. But so it's weird to have Krull right in the middle of the two Best Picture nominees. I guess maybe he figured he could just kind of take it easy on this one. I don't know. He seemed to hate making this movie. Everyone involved seemed to hate making this movie.
I
the universal opinion.
I read the story that like halfway through filming, he just went to the Bahamas and took a 2-week vacation, and everybody had to kind of stop work. It was unplanned. He got so frustrated with making this movie that he was like, I'm going to fucking Nassau.
It's not like now, like the Marvel model, where they find these indie directors and put them in charge of $300 million movies, because they're not really running the movie. It's the pre-visualization and special effects people are really directing the movie, honestly. And the indie director, is kept around to keep the actors okay with everything.
Right.
But back then they didn't have that kind of machinery in place. So this guy was in charge of everything. He had no experience with special effects, and it was a very detailed special effects, lots of special effects sequences in this. And from all accounts, like you said, he just flaked off. It's like, I'll be back in 2 weeks. I'm out of here. So a little arduous production process. Like you said, it was huge at Pinewood Studios. They had many, many stages. They also had the gigantic, what's called the 007 stage, which they use they say it's a swamp. To me, it looked like a forest, honestly. Yeah. A forest with lots of dead leaves and one little lake. And they're calling this a swamp the whole time. I don't really get that, but anyway, that was a very, very big set. Like you said, everyone hated this movie. They did some kind of different special effects, especially for the shape changing sequences. They did something unorthodox, I guess, so it looked a little more magical. I don't know the technical terminology of it.
I read about it where was supposed to look more like the changelings turning into what they were naturally and using like a cover-up effect or something. It looked okay. Like when the wizard turns into like a goose, it looks kind of stupid, but I mean, it is what it is.
Everything with that character is stupid, but we'll get to that. Yeah, so that looked I would say it looked different more than looked better or worse. It just looked different from the effects I usually seen back then, where it's a green screen, they just shrink somebody or something. Yeah, so that's what I got for the production. Just lots of bitter people talking about this movie.
A lot of soundstage stuff, like you said, a lot of sets, and it's very clear. You could tell the few times in this movie when they're in a natural environment, it's striking almost, because there's not like foam rubber everywhere, and it's funny watching it, and we'll talk about it as we go along. But watching it, there's moments where I'm like really taken aback by like the artistry of it, and then there's moments where I'm like, that looks like shit.
I will say it looks fantastic for the most part. I don't mind the dreaminess of the sets. I take that as part of the fantasy genre. But the DP on this is a guy named Peter Suschitzky, and he had another guy with a very long career and not a lot of fantasy work on that resume. He had worked on Empire Strikes Back, though.
Okay.
And he did lots of stuff for Cronenberg. And later he went on to do Mars Attacks. So he was a little more, I guess, adaptable to the fantasy genre. Who else I got here? And producer was Ron Silverman, who doesn't really have much of a career. The writer was Stanford Sherman. And also an uncredited co-writer was Steve Tessich, who had done Breaking Away with the same director a couple years ago. He was brought on, I guess, they wound up throwing out most of what he wrote. They kept some of the dialogue, I think.
I think his original premise or his original treatment was the dragons of Krull, and the beast was supposed to be a dragon.
This is when it was still firmly in the Dungeons and Dragons license. And then
they changed it to whatever the beast ended up becoming, and that's a whole nother thing. I was trying to read about that, like why the effects of the beast are so odd. It looks like someone smeared Vaseline.
A fisheye lens plus a filter over it. It looks weird.
Yeah, it's like they're trying to make you wonder, or like, oh, are we going to get a revealing shot? And you kind of do at the end, but it's never truly. It's
almost, but not quite Cthulhu.
Yeah, it's definitely odd.
Yeah. And then I think the MVP of the movie is James Horner, who was still early in his career, but I think this is pretty great music, even though it's a little maybe cheesy. I don't know. It's larger than life. It's a little bombastic, but I think it's pretty good music.
I agree. I think the music is pretty great in this. To me, it reminds me, because it's him, of his early Star Trek stuff a little bit. But yeah, it is very. This is a movie. This is a hero's quest movie, and it's very much that kind of music. Very
it's
symphonic, very driving.
playing to the genre. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't know this about James Horner, but he died in an airplane crash. I did not know that.
No, I didn't know either.
Yeah, he was like he was flying it himself, and I guess when they found his body or when they were able to do a toxicology, he had some stuff in him. But he was apparently flying like a solo flight, and he died on impact. I guess either landing or he crashed. I didn't know that about him.
Harrison Ford ran him out of the sky.
Yeah, right. They were both over the same golf course.
Oh, jeez.
All right, so let's talk about the cast.
Assemble your crew.
All right, international action hero and swashbuckler supreme Ken Marshall plays Prince/King Colwyn. You might know him from Krull, because that's kind of it. He was in 9 episodes of Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
I was just going to mention, he played Eddington the Traitor. He was a security officer who later defects to the Maquis, who were the bad guys in the first couple of seasons.
Okay, well, that's 9 episodes of that. He was on an episode of Quantum Leap. And he was on an episode of Baywatch at some point in his career. I think they were probably building him up to be the next big thing, and it didn't happen. And in all honesty, I don't think it's necessarily his fault.
Maybe I think he's pretty good in this. He has a real Errol Flynn type of quality to his. Even the scenes where you could tell the writing's not that great, he's really doing his best to sell it. So
agreed. Lisette Anthony plays his bride-to-be and princess and queen, Lissa. Her voice was deemed to be too immature, so they dubbed it with Lindsay Krause.
She was only like 18 when they made this movie.
She was 18 and he was 30.
She was beautiful, but like she must have had a terrible voice if they dubbed her.
Yeah, she was beautiful, and apparently in 1988, I didn't look it up. I should after this. She was in Playboy, and in an interview in Playboy, she was talking about how she hated this movie because of the dubbing, and she just felt like it.
Well, they gave her nothing to do.
She felt like it had kind of stymied her career. Let's see. She was in Look Who's Talking Now. She was in Husbands and Wives, which I think is a Woody Allen thing.
Wait. Was she one of the dogs in Look Who's Talking Now, or was she a person?
She must have been a person, because clearly they're not going to use her voice for anything.
That's right. Yeah.
Right?
That'd be hilarious if they cast her and then they just dubbed her again.
Yes, redubbed her. She was also in the Mel Brooks non-classic Dracula Dead and Loving It. Yes. Let's see. Freddie Jones plays, I'm going to ruin this, Ynir. He's Obi-Wan Kenobi in this movie.
Ynir, yeah.
Ynir. He was in Zulu
Who's
Dawn.
not a wizard. You think he's going to be a wizard, but he's not.
No.
And you think he's going to be some kind of wise counselor, but he's not really. He's just some guy who wanders in.
Yeah, and he's also the narrator. I guess you give him that much credit.
He dies, and then he's still narrating. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
Anyway.
Firestarter, and he was also in Dune, the 1984 version.
Along with Francesca Annis, who plays his baby mama in this.
That's right. Yeah, she was one of the, what do they call those?
She was Paul's mother.
Yes. Okay. Let's see. Alan Armstrong plays Torquil. He was the leader of the band of
Not So Merry Men.
Van Helsing, Sleepy Hollow, and Patriot Games.
Also Braveheart.
Yes, his face was so familiar, and I was trying to picture where I've seen him, and that's definitely one of them. Bernard Bresslaw plays Rel the Cyclops. You mentioned, I think earlier, Hawk the Slayer. He was in that. He was in Jabberwocky, Terry Gilliam film,
yeah.
And a film called Up Pompeii. And then a couple more. These are the folks. I was watching this with my girlfriend. She had never even heard of this movie, and she's my age. I said, it's because you were a girl in the 80s and I was a boy. She messaged her brother, who said, she said, "Have you ever heard of Krull?" And he responded, "Yes, it was inconsequential."
That's actually on the DVD cover.
It should be. I told her there's 2 people you're going to recognize in this movie who went on to become much bigger, and they have smaller roles in this. And they're 2 of the Merry Men as well. Liam Neeson plays Keegan. Of course, you know him from the A-Team film we did here very recently, The Grey, and the Taken series. And then Robbie Coltrane plays Run, R-H-U-N. You know him from the Harry Potter series as Hagrid, Goldeneye, and The Pope Must Die. If you remember that. And also, I read, it said that he was dubbed as well, but in the version I watched, it sounded like Robbie Coltrane.
Yeah, it's weird because that sounded like him to me as well.
Okay.
He basically is, the look for him, if I had to describe it, would be fat Freddie Mercury.
Yeah, I said I told her, I said he kind of looks like an overweight Mexican guy in this. But yeah, he's definitely, he's got the big old mustache and everything. That's the cast, for Krull. We get a big old setup here in the beginning, and I'm going to give it to you in just a very easy way. The narrator tells us that there is a black fortress that's traveling through stars and sky, and it lands on the planet of Krull. And the Slayers are the inhabitants of this fortress, and their leader is the Beast. And on the planet, apparently, it's, I guess, ruled over by two kings. And they are going to, even though they're rival kings, they're going to have their individual children marry in a ceremony. And they will rule the world, and their child, for Krull Part 2, which never happened, will rule the universe, is what it felt like to me. So it's very much that kind of thing. There's a prophecy. There's, all of this stuff going on. Patrick, at this point, were you already like, oh shit, here we go?
There's the weird part. The very first thing. Why is the movie called Krull?
Yeah, I know it's the planet, but I don't know.
It should be the bad guy or the good guy or something looking for it. But the planet, it's inconsequential, and it may as well just be Earth in a fantasy time. There's really nothing alien about this. Well, okay, I shouldn't say that. There's fire mares. There's horses that can fly on fire. So I guess that's different.
Right.
But otherwise, it's very Earth-like, really.
Yeah.
It's an interesting choice to just call it Krull, and then Krull means nothing. So yeah, you're right. Well, it sounds like that the prince and the princess kind of arranged the marriage behind their parents' backs.
Yeah.
They matched on Tinder, and then they decided they were gonna get together and unite against the Beast. It is that the timeline's a little vague as to, has the Beast been here a long time?
I swear
does
to
he
fucking
come every
God.
generation or no? Or does he come and leave? It doesn't.
I
really...
wanted you to tell me that because the beginning of the movie shows the fortress flying through space, and then it lands, and then the Slayers attack the castle during the wedding. And in my head, I'm like, did it just land and it just attacked, or did the landing happen 20 years ago? There's no background.
I did read the novelization again a few weeks ago.
I love this about you, man. I love this about you.
I'm sick. I have a sickness. And even in there, they make it sound like it's been a while, but they don't say whether it's been months, years, or this is a generational problem. So One thing we do know is that the uniting factor, no matter where you go in the universe, every planet has horses. Because the Slayers have their own horses. This place has horses. Obviously, Earth has horses. So horses are everywhere. Horses are the universal constant.
They even go so far, like this movie doesn't do a good job of explaining a lot of its world building. Like there's a point where we see a Slayer get killed, its head gets cracked open, and like this parasite worm comes out and burrows into the ground. And I'm like, oh, that's a cool idea. Like the Slayers, even though they're a humanoid body, they're probably some kind of machine. They make R2-D2 noises when they die, and there's something in there that's controlling them. We never get into that.
I think the book may have suggested that those are people that are Borged, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
Okay. Alan Dean Foster is the novelization king.
He does his own thing, right? That's his thing.
Well, that's not all he does. He also has like 50 or 60 of his own original books, but he does tons of novelizations. Yeah.
When he does movie novelizations, is he the one that like, if stuff isn't filled out, he does his own thing? He is one. Well, that's kind of a trope for novelizers, is like, this doesn't make sense. So they'll put their own explanation in there, or they'll sneak in cameos. Like I remember, and this is a total sidetrack, I'm sorry, but I remember years ago I read the novelization for Independence Day, and the guy snuck in a reference to Stargate because they were both done by the same director, and he had written the novelization for Stargate, so he snuck a reference into Stargate there. So they'll all put Easter eggs in there, or they'll try to fix things, try to explain things, or they'll just get interested in the story and throw in little tangents that maybe were never even in the script to begin with. So that's what's kind of fun about them. Anyway, back to the movie. So the wedding is happening. We have this little, I guess, ritual where, you know, he dips his hand into water and she pulls fire out of the water, and it's a whole, you know, I guess he puts fire in the water and she pulls it back out. I think she pulls it back out, and it's, you know, obviously supposed to be like, you know, this is our love, and you know, we're supposed to be a team. That's going to come in this whole movie is like love defeats everything. That's the whole idea. I do think it's unfortunate that they're not together much, because I thought in the one scene in the beginning, or a couple scenes in the beginning, they had kind of a nice chemistry. They seemed to work well together. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think either of them are bad in this. I don't think any of the actors really, for the most part.
One
I know
exception.
I know you don't. I know. I found him slightly amusing to irritating through the whole thing. I know who you're talking about. It's
The listeners cannot see me putting my thumb down for this take. But
so the Slayers attack the castle, and we get some swashbuckling. Coleman, is cutting down ropes and flying up to the roof, and we're getting this huge battle.
as I understand it, they had trained on fighting the Slayers, and then the final design of the Slayer costumes came in, and they found they had to change the choreograph fighting because they didn't want to smash the stuff coming off the sides of the Slayers' helmets and everything. So that's why some of the fighting is maybe not as dynamic as it could have been, because they had to re-choreograph everything before shooting.
A lot of laser blasts, a lot of swords to the head, and in the end, the Slayers end up kidnapping the princess and bringing her back to the Black Fortress.
Both King Fathers get killed.
Both King Fathers killed. One of them pretty brutally, like a fucking knife through the side of the neck. Colwyn ends up getting shot in the chest by a Slayer's laser beam. Very important to point out, only the bad guys have laser beams in this movie. The good guys have swords or the glaive. That's a whole nother thing.
They never really express amazement. Like, what are these sticks that shoot fire at us? Like, they just don't seem fazed by the idea that these guys have laser blasters.
Well, that's another thing that makes me think that they've seen these things before, right? Like, we live a life on Krull with Slayers on their laser beam fucking poles. So Colwyn ends up waking up the next morning. The castle is ruined by Ynir, who is, again, as I mentioned, supposed to be like his mentor, Obi-Wan Kenobi character, who comes and says, like, I got to take you. We're going to go, we got to go find the Black Castle to rescue the princess. And Colwyn is kind of not necessarily, he's very defeated. And this is where, I didn't find a king, I found a boy.
Yeah.
So we get the Rocky, we get the Mickey telling him to eat thunder and crap lightning moment there for a second.
Speaking of the novelization factor, there is something in the novelization later on that has a hint of a backstory which does not emerge in the movie. And I will get to it when we talk about the Widow of the Web.
Okay. All right.
Remind me.
Because I didn't understand any of that, but we'll get there, and I'm hoping you can fill it out. Colwyn ends up deciding, okay, let's do this. He takes his father's medallion, which is something like big. It's like Flavor Flav big, but it's got this design on it with like a kind of fidget spinner. And so now we have started what I mentioned before as Krull, the quest for quests, because the first quest is we have to find the Krull. We have to find the glaive. Colwyn's like, the glaive's not real. It's a symbol.
If they called it the Krull, that would make more sense, right?
Or if they called the movie The Glaive.
Yeah, okay, I guess, but it's not really a glaive. So that my solution solves both problems.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Patrick, you start rewriting. I want you to write the reboot of Krull. I want you to make it make
Believe
more
it
sense.
or not, there have been announced reboots of Krull several times over the years, and to no one's surprise, they never panned out.
Yeah.
But there's this small fan base of this movie that really, really like it. Or they think they like it. They think they like it. I think they just like the idea of it, honestly.
I get that. There's a lot of things I like the idea of. Colwyn's like, this is not a real thing. This is just a symbol of my family. And Ynir's like, no, it's real. It's up on this mountain, and only you can go get it. There are no short scenes in this movie. There's a scene of Colwyn climbing a mountain that's as long as it would take to watch someone climb that mountain. There's a scene later in the movie where they have to wrangle and train the fire mare horses, which is like 18 minutes of them wrangling horses. They don't do anything. There's no quick editing in Krull. Do you agree with me?
Well, the fire horses, I think, went a little more quickly, maybe 16 minutes, but I think they just wanted to highlight the natural scenery. But yeah, it is just when you have a cut from him climbing the mountain to him climbing the mountain to him climbing the mountain.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. He's climbing the mountain.
He's climbing the mountain. He's on this incline at one point, and there's a small rock slide. And these devastating looking, basketball-sized rocks and boulders are flying down the mountain at him. And they're clearly real rocks. This is clearly a shot of real rocks flying down the mountain. And then when they have him dodging them, they're so clearly rubber and tiny. It's just so funny. But he eventually gets to the top of the mountain. He ends up in this like little crevice of a cave, and there he sees it, river of lava, and at the bottom of the river of lava there is a shape of a fidget spinner. And Patrick, what does he do?
I guess it's magic because he knows exactly where it is. I could see that he's drawn to it because he's the king now. Fine, but he reaches right in. No, not even any gloves.
His sleeve is already up to his bicep. He pulls it up.
In reality, he'd be probably baked from the inside out when he got like 3 or 4 feet from this giant river of lava.
Yes.
But anyway, magic. So he reaches in, pulls it out, and it's encrusted like something cooled and hardened around it, but it's inside lava. That doesn't make sense to me.
Magma.
But then that starts to flake off, and then he has the Krull, and it's got that wonderful James Horner score as he holds it aloft.
So you just called it the Krull. It's the glaive.
The glaive. I did it. Well, that's my idea.
Okay. We'll let you call it.
That was not delivered, but my subconscious was bailing me out.
You refuse to call it a glaive.
Yeah.
Okay.
It just doesn't make sense to me. A glaive should have a pole, but anyway.
So yeah, we get this James Horner music, and the little magma crust breaks off of it, and now we have this golden bejeweled 5 pinwheeled throwing device, I guess, and he's looking at it, and then just to up the badass factor, like little switchblades come out of it, right? And it's just like I'm sure when I saw this at 10 years old, I probably got as excited as I can get at 10 years old. So he now has it. He puts it in a little pouch on his belt, and keep that in mind because he ain't going to use the fucking thing till the very end. You think you see this trailer for this movie and you're like, there's going to be a lot of glaive action.
Yeah.
For fucking get it. He doesn't even go back to it until he has to fight the beast at the end.
I have seen this before, and watching it again, when he pulls it out at the end, I've forgotten he had it. Because it's a good hour.
This is a 2-hour long movie. Mm-hmm. He finds it at minute 20 and uses it at hour 45. So it's easy to forget that it's in there. So him and Ynir now move on in their travels, and this is where they come across Patrick's least favorite character ever. Patrick, who do we meet at this point on the road?
This guy is sub-Orko. He's sub-Snarf. He is so annoying. Meet Ergo the Magnificent, who arrives like in comet form. He basically is flying through the air, slams into this lake, turns into a human, comes out, yells at them for getting in his way, and they both have hearty chuckles because this guy's hilarious. And this is where you see that Ken Marshall's a good actor because he's really selling that this guy is hilarious, and he's not. This is another world building question. So I guess Krull is a world where magic is rare enough that most people can't do it, but it's common enough that if you see a man turn into fireworks and back and then turn to a goose and a pig in front of you, you don't run screaming into the night because, this guy just knows how to shape change. That's okay. That's a given. But they don't really establish he's the only guy who uses magic, really. Even Ynir does not use magic in this.
Yeah, Ynir's a weird character. Like you said before, like you expect him to be like the wizard or, and he's not. He's just some old guy.
Old guy.
He's just an old dude.
He says he's a healer. Okay, fine. I guess. He's a paramedic, basically. But that's all. He didn't work for the king. He doesn't have any past that we know of. He just shows up.
He puts a salve on Colwyn when he got shot by the Slayer. So we meet the what's his name again? The wizard?
Ergo the Magnificent.
Ergo. We meet Ergo the Magnificent to Patrick's dismay. And we move on and we keep going along. And now
well, hold on. There are a couple things here. He is there spied upon from the shadows by a peeping Cyclops.
Correct, right.
And then I think either right before or right after that scene, we see Lissa, who is trapped in this kind of Dario Argento weird, surreal set in darkness, and the Beast is talking to her. And the Beast, this is one of about 8 scenes where the Beast says, "Hey, give me a chance. What about? Forget about that Cohen guy. What about me?" That's his whole plan. Is basically to just bug her into marrying him.
Yeah, and the Beast is like a 28-foot tall purple slime bag with giant pin teeth and everything. But yeah, the sets that she is trapped in, there's one that's like shaped like an eye.
Yeah.
Everything it's all very bizarre. And Patrick's right. Every time we move on from Colwyn's journey, we go back to her and the Beast being like, so what, what do you like? What do you like? You like Springsteen? You ever, what do you like? Like, what do you want to talk about? What are you watching on TV right now? Did you see Andor? Like, what are you doing?
That guy doesn't like you the way I like you.
Yeah. Then he's just getting like dirt. Like when none of that works, he's sending her dick pics and stuff. It's very bizarre. But yeah, so we go back and our heroes then meet up with the band of marauders who are going to rob them on the road. They end up having a battle, and these marauders are all, I guess, prisoners. They all have manacles on them. And Colwyn offers to let them free, and only the chief magistrate or the king can let us free. And he's like, I am your king. And they all just like turn over and like, okay, we're gonna go with this guy. And then the deal with like the main guy, what was
Torquil?
his name here? Torquil is, Torquil will accept the key when their mission is done. So now we've seen, like, we got the glaive, we got our crew, we're going to start moving along. But
we're lost.
We are lost, and we also have to point out, Patrick, what is the problem with finding the Black Castle, the fortress?
This is actually kind of interesting. So the Black Fortress is, I guess, a spaceship of sorts, although it looks literally like a castle flying in space.
Yes.
So it's a weird hybrid of the magic and technology, I guess. It teleports every time sunlight hits it. Every time it's on somewhere on Krull where the sun rises, it teleports to somewhere else on Krull where it's night. Somewhere else where it's day, and it just stays for a day.
I think at dawn, right? Is it when morning time comes?
It teleports at dawn, but if it went to somewhere further, then it wouldn't be there for 24 hours because it'd be
right
ahead of the sunlight. So yeah.
Right. They do mention that it could be in a field, it could be in the ocean, it goes different places. And again, this leads me to the thought that this has been here for a while for them to know this kind of stuff. But that leads to the problem of, well, we can't just go to the fortress because it's not going to be where we think it's going to be when we want to get to it. So the next quest these guys have to go on is they have to figure out how to find the fortress. And how do they go about that, Patrick?
So Anir knows a guy.
He knows a dude.
That's his skill, I guess. He knows all these people. So they decide they're going to visit the Emerald City to meet the wizard. Now they're going to see the Emerald Seer.
Do you think that Anir's got like a hot dog guy and he's got like a TV guy, right? He's the guy who's got all the guys, right?
He's just been around. He just knows people. He has connections. So on their way there, they finally meet Rel, the Cyclops, who introduces himself after he kills a Slayer. And then they give a very weird backstory for the Cyclops people, that they're from another planet and they made a deal with the Beast so that they could see the future. They gave up one of their eyes. I guess they were two socketed people before the Beast made their deal with them. So now they all have one eye and they could see the future, but the only future they could see is their own death. Now, why the Beast wanted all their eyes, I don't know. I guess maybe he just thought he would need eyes sometime in the future. I don't know. There's no explanation for what the Beast got out of that deal, except just to fuck with people. I don't know. The Beast is very vague in his motivations in this movie.
He's horny. That's what I get out of it. Is he digs redheaded chicks? He's horny because I don't.
Then he should have just taken Colwyn's shape and say, "Hey, baby, I'm here to rescue you."
Well, he does, but
we're gonna stay in this fortress, and you can't see me in the daylight.
Right. And when he does take Colwyn's shape, because he could have tricked her with it, he's not good enough to be able to I guess do eyes, right? Because when he does take Colwyn's shape, he's got the same blood red eyes. So they go to see this seer, right? And the
Emerald
seer,
who doesn't know they're coming. So, hey, great seer, right there. And also, he can't see the Beast. He tries tuning into the Beast channel, and the Beast destroys his crystal. Strike two for this guy. Meanwhile, in the creepiest relationship in the movie, Ergo starts flirting with his child apprentice, Titch. Says, "Give me some candy." Usually, they offer candy, but he's reversing it here. Another trope inversion. So he's demanding candy from this child.
The kid gives him, he goes, do you have any of like licorice or this or that? And the kid's like, no. And then Ergo says, what kind of child doesn't have candy? And then the kid says, well, I do have a cinnamon bar. And he gives him something that looks like he gives him a piece of shit. He's chewing on a piece of shit. It looks gross.
I'll get to it later, how creepy this guy is. But anyway, so after the beast destroys his giant emerald, they says, well, we have to go to the Emerald Tower. And then now you're going to ask, well, why doesn't the Emerald Seer already live in the Emerald Tower? What's he doing in this other place? The movie has no answers.
Yeah.
So they have to go through the swamp that looks like a forest to get to the Emerald Tower.
They have to go to the swamp that looks like a forest that they say is the one place where the beast has no power. Meanwhile, when they get to the swamp, okay,
wall-to-wall slayers,
right? Wall-to-wall slayers. So they battle them off. They end up in quicksand. They lose. I can't even tell you. They just start losing the merry men left and right. Wall-to-wall slayers. They lose a merry man, and then the seer is subjugated by another changeling, which he didn't predict.
Strike three.
But also, how is this the one place on Krull that the beast has no power over, and the beast is just mighty as fuck in this forest? Like,
yeah,
he's got all of his agents there. So this part, I actually can tell you, as a kid, the fake slayer, the fake seer tells Colwyn, you have to come out with me. We're going to go to this 3-sided tree, and that's where we're going to be able to see where the fortress is. It's kind of a cool scene. We see the seer open his eyes, and they're black because he's not the real seer. And
the beast has like these changelings.
Yes.
Who could just steal your soul or steal your form, rather.
And that creeped me out. Like that look of that guy creeped me out when his fingers turned into daggers and he was about to kill Colwyn. But meanwhile, back about 35 feet away, the Rel, the Cyclops, is standing by the quicksand, and the quicksand
just pukes up.
It starts to fart.
Body.
The quicksand starts to fart and shit itself, and all of a sudden the seer's body comes up. And Rel is like, oh shit, that other guy isn't the seer. Rel is like the MVP of this movie, man.
But he keeps staying behind. I don't get it, because he introduced himself, and then he's just like, well, see ya.
He also does something that confuses me in a little bit we'll get to, but he jumps through the forest. He jumps through that quicksand, and just as this thing is about to kill Colwyn, he takes his what probably actually is a glaive. It's a trident.
It's a weird trident where they're not lined up in a row, but they're like in a pyramid shape. Yeah,
and fucking tosses it and just blasts this motherfucker to death with it. So he dies. They all realize they just dodged one, and at this point, Patrick, tell me if I'm wrong, because this is certainly the point that I had fallen asleep on and I had to go back and rewatch.
We're not saying Krull's boring, folks. We're not saying it's boring.
No. I fall asleep at everything. I have to if you're a listener, I talk about it. I have to go back and there's plenty of movies that I have to go back and watch sections of. Do they go back? Do they go to like Liam Neeson's house or his forest? Right.
So what happens is after they roll snake eyes with the Emerald Seer, Anir says, I know another person. It's this Widow of the Web.
He breaks off.
I'll go to talk to the Widow of the Web. You guys wait here. And they're like, well, we're near this forest. We got these women here, so let's just go hang out there for a while.
Who were those women? Was that supposed to be his wife?
It was just a village where I got the feeling that Liam Neeson has a woman in every village, although his character also does.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, look, it's Liam Neeson, man.
That's his character trait, is he's got women everywhere. So, and then we get also the super creepy scene where the boy Titch has now been adopted by them. He's like a 10-year-old kid, and now the Emerald Seer is dead. He's just hanging out with them. And the boy's like, I wish I had a dog to play with. So Ergo changes into a dog, so the kid picks him up and plays with him.
And they lie about it too, because
it's so creepy.
Colwyn says, where's Ergo? And he's like, oh, he had to go do something. He'll be back. I'm like, he's a changeling. Why don't you just say this is him right here? Unless he said to you, don't tell him that it's me. Like,
So
yeah, you're right. It's creepy.
we have an offer of candy. We have lying to protect a weird physical relationship. This is so bad. This is so bad.
Krull, the grooming.
Krull, do you know where your children are? Oh, God.
It's 10 o'clock on Krull. Do you know where your kids are? Hopefully they're not with Ergo.
Oh, shit.
And why was the kid with the seer, too? That was creepy, to be honest with you.
I feel like he was there and the seer didn't know. The seer was blind and couldn't predict anything, and occasionally would hear a sound in the kitchen.
He's like,
and that was his orphan raiding his kitchen.
He's like, who's eating all my Hot Pockets? The ham and cheddar. Those are mine.
I feel like if you went further in that house, there'd be like just broken plates and glasses everywhere because the seer just would knock shit over. The worst seer ever.
Oh, fuck. That's fucking funny. The seer and the kid are like the relationship between the blind guy and Frankenstein and young Frankenstein.
Yeah.
But, he sets him on fire. Yeah. He burns them really badly. Okay.
Yeah.
So guide me.
All right. So now let's rejoin Aenir.
Yeah, that's where I want to go because I fell asleep during this part through that part. And when I rewatched it, I've got to admit, when I rewatched it, the whole Ynir Widow of the Web scene, I was so fucking bored by that I actually just dumped out all the information.
I actually think it's kind of interesting. The look of it's weird. The imagery of this old woman who's trapped in this like little, I don't know, spider cottage, whatever, in this giant cave. And the crystal spider looks really cool, I think. It's an old-fashioned effect, but it looks really cool.
I don't think that looks bad.
This giant crystalline spider who is guarding her / imprisoning her. Aenir starts to make his way across this expanse of cobwebs. She turns this, I think she has an hourglass of magic sand. She turns over and that keeps the spider away for as long as the sand's flowing. And he makes his way into her little spider house. And it turns out they knew each other. They were lovers many years ago. He left her and she was pregnant and she murdered their son.
That's what I thought. Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she said because of that, she is trapped here. Whether that means she's punishing herself or some magical curse is on her now, they don't really say. But he has the best reaction ever. He's like, well, no big deal.
No biggie.
Things happen. I get it. And he says he still sees her as beautiful. He's forgiven her long ago. Really, really generous guy, this guy. Seriously. Oh, by the way, I murdered our son many years ago. And he says, I still think you're hot. And then he says, by the way, now that we're being nice again, where's the Black Fortress?
Yeah. Yeah. And he's like, look, if we do it now, there's no chance I'm going to get you pregnant because I'm old as fuck. You're old as fuck. And we don't have to worry about the biggest problem in our relationship is you murdering our fucking babies.
And so here's the weirdest part. He says her name, which is Lissa. That's the same name as the princess.
I didn't even notice that.
Yes.
Okay.
And so this is where what I mentioned before, this thing in the novelization, there's a hint that Aenir tells her that Colwyn is his son. He says something like, Colwyn has much of me in him. He doesn't know how.
Okay.
And that this prophecy may have been for Aenir and the widow, but they thwarted it somehow and it became corrupted. So now, there are people, I guess the 7 fans of Krull who keep this alive, they have speculated that the beast is their son. He's been mutated by some curse or something. I don't know. The thing seems a little unsupported by the movie. But the idea is that the prophecy was for them. I guess it's like Anakin and Luke. It had to skip a generation because it got corrupted in one generation.
It's like male pattern baldness, yeah.
So now, exactly, the worst curse of all. So now Colwyn and Lissa II have a chance to fulfill this prophecy and unite the planet and the galaxy, whereas Aenir and the Widow of the Web failed. I guess he got tired of it and he just left. I don't know. They don't really mention why he left, but he just left. Their relationship fell apart, much like the spider webs all around them. So that's where that is. That's the interesting, weird part of it, where you think that maybe there was something cut out that could have been, but they just throw weird facts out. Like, why is she named Lissa? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that.
Being awake is easy to.
No, I rewatched it.
Oh, okay.
I fell asleep for about a 15-minute, and it was the span of after the fake seer dies through them being in the forest with the other changeling that tries to, seduce Colwyn and.
Oh yeah, we didn't get that part. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So it was all that stuff, and then I went back and rewatched it. I was definitely more interested in that scene where the changeling woman is trying to bang Colwyn, and he actually, and that's, again, we talked about it earlier. He rebukes her, right? Like, she's beautiful, and she's like, "I'll suck your dick right now," and he's like, "No, I love you." And the Beast is trying to play him because the Beast is showing this on closed circuit TV.
The whole thing is just for him to say, "See."
Yeah.
See? I would never do that to you, baby.
Right. Look, she is sucking his dick right now, and you guys are married. I wouldn't do that. I'm the Beast. I love you, baby. You want to go out for some some Applebee's, whatever you want. It's $6 margarita night. No, fucking Colwyn's like, you're beautiful, but I've got a beloved.
Final act of spite to the Beast. The changeling says, "I'm a changeling, but I love you anyway."
Yeah,
I've actually fallen in love with you.
She fell in love with him in that 4 minutes they were talking, and 90% of their conversation was about how she wanted to seduce him. And she's like, "You are incredible, Colwyn." And the Beast uses the Force to magically fucking terminate her.
Yeah.
We just see her her visage go, "Ah!" and she disappears. All right. So Anir leaves the widow, but does he get
Here's
hurt?
the thing. Well, here's the problem. So the widow, it's kind of a cool scene, actually. You should go ahead and rewatch it. It's really, I think it's one of the better parts of the movie, although it's very strange. She says, we have to save these kids, almost like saying we have to save our children.
Right.
And she says, "Go now. I will, you take the sands with you. The sands will keep the spider away." And he says, "But that's what's keeping it out of your house." And he goes, "Well, I give my life to save the one named after me." And she smashes it on the ground. He takes a handful of the sand from the hourglass, makes his way out. As he holds it up, the spider leaves him alone, but slipping through his fingers, obviously, because he can't. He's now going to die as well, but he'll have time to get out. And then the last thing you see is the spider go right to the house, the little house, and start digging its way in. So she's going to die.
Okay.
He makes his way to the forest where they're all basically wiping their dicks off after fucking all the girls there.
yeah, on the leaves of the trees. Liam Neeson dragging his giant dick right across something. Oh, look at all that cum.
So I went here, and you went a little further. But anyway,
yeah.
And Anir runs up and blurts out where the fortress is going to be, and then the last of the sands falls through his fingers, and he falls over dead, and they bury him.
Yeah. So he's gone now, and now this is where the fortress is going to be. So we have to get there.
We have a time limit. How do we get there? And out of nowhere, Rel says, "Well, there are those. I don't know. Has anyone thought of those magic horses that can fly around and their hooves are on fire, and they love when people tame them? Has anyone thought of those?"
Looking forward to an 11-minute scene of all these guys taming horses. And I will say,
I don't actually think it's that long, but maybe it felt that long.
I will say it is very clear that Liam Neeson was not using a stunt double. He's a big dude, and he is jumping. Mm-hmm. These are fucking Clydesdales. These are not regular ride them around cowboy movie horses. These are big Budweiser truck steering fucking horses.
They're workhorses.
They're workhorses.
Neeson had been in Excalibur a couple years earlier, so I wonder if he learned horse riding for that or if he knew it already. I don't know.
Yeah. They're all trying to get on a different one, and so we got that scene. But then as they finally do mount these mares, Rel tells them, it's time.
I gotta die. I got a thing.
So I'm gonna stay here.
Yeah.
You guys go to the Black Castle. And it's this moment that's actually because he has a less creepy bond with Titch, the little kid. The little kid says to Coleman, "Well, it's his time." And there's this whole moment where they're all like, "Well, thank you for being such a help." Yeah. And you think that that's the end, and you think that we're going to see him maybe fight off a horde of slayers or something. So they all take off on their magical fire mares, and then he chases after them.
Yeah. I will say Ergo had a nice little moment where he because him and the Cyclops were friends, and he just says there wasn't enough time. That was a nice little moment where they could have been good friends and didn't allow them,
Agreed. It was a good line. I caught that line, and I thought the same thing.
But they're flying across Krull, and there's one shot, I swear to God, it looks like Santa Claus.
Oh, when they
And
go
like his
over
reindeer flying in the air.
Yep. So these things are speeding at an incredible pace, fire shooting out of their assholes, and then we get a long shot of like a gorge, and they just right across it into the sky, Ghost Rider Santa style flames. But immediately Rel starts to run towards, like, so everything he just said, there wasn't like that moment. Now he does, spoiler, he does die, and we do get there, but like he didn't have, like, that whole bit seemed kind of,
I guess we're supposed to assume that, because what they say is if a Cyclops tries to avoid his death, it's very painful for them.
Okay.
Which I'm thinking they're going to die anyway, so whatever. But I guess what they're trying to say is he was such good friends with them, he's willing to suffer that to help them. But it's so rushed, they don't really communicate that very well. He just looks like he changed his mind.
Yeah, absolutely. It did not, it took away from the moment. Even though
also, I will notice that they had 10 saddles out of nowhere.
They did get a bunch of saddles, yeah. Yeah, they did get a bunch of saddles. I don't know where they got those. They might have stopped at a Mos Eisley type town.
Saddle shop, yeah.
Yeah, they traded cinnamon bars for them.
They have like moments to go, because once the sun hits the tower or the fortress, it's going to teleport. So they're fighting to get inside as the sun is slowly coming up behind them. Right.
And this is where for me, this is where we really get a feeling of sets. When they're trying to fight their way in, and it's like, again, another 11-minute sequence of
it's a little
them on the sides of the castle trying to get in, and the Slayers and these perfectly timed hydraulic doors popping up and shooting at them. And eventually we get to the point where, even though I think they lose one or two, they lose Robbie Coltrane, he gets shot, and eventually they manage to make their way into the castle, and they kind of break off into different.
So what you're going to have to do when you edit this, I'm going to hold my finger up like this.
Yeah.
That's where you're going to drop in a sound of the Slayer going as they die.
I will do that. I will absolutely do that for you. So they get in and they decide to split off. Colwyn is going straight for the princess, Alyssa. So he's got to find her. And then the other guys, are they searching for something in particular? I can't remember.
They're just kind of running pell-mell through the fortress, I think. There's lots of kind of goofy death traps.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's a new kind of Slayer where they're in white instead of black. But the change is they're just as slow.
Yeah, they're not like elite. Like, you think, oh, these are going to be like next level up. No, these are just the same fucking thing. And like you said, at one point they fall, the four of them, Torquil, Liam Neeson, the other guy, and the kid all fall into, or there's two kids. I forgot there's the other kid too. I keep forgetting about it.
There's a youngish man, I guess,
with the long hair,
18 or 19.
Right.
And then Titch is a little kid. That's why Ergo goes for him.
Yeah. They fall into like this little room where Spike starts shooting out of the walls.
They start killing them off left and right at this point. One guy just falls off a bridge as they're running.
Falls off a bridge, and the dude that gets killed in the Spike room, that's brutal. He's laying on the ground, and these spikes just go in the front and back of him and just fucking kill him right there. Slowly. Yeah, it is a pretty harrowing death scene. Where's Ergo?
The kid and Ergo fall down, and then they try to lower the prince, and they're like, whoop, no, it's not happening. Pull me back up.
Pulls him back up.
They just let him go.
They get attacked. They get attacked by Slayers.
For the first and only time in the movie, does something useful. And changes into a tiger.
Yeah.
And starts fucking them up.
He does. He beats the Slayers with his tiger paws. And then we do get a scene of him laying his head, I think, in Titch's lap as a tiger. So it's making a lot more sense to me now.
So creepy. So creepy.
So let's get over to Colwyn and how this thing ends.
He finds the cell, I guess, the little room within a room, I guess. I don't know what it is exactly. And it's like, oh shit, the glaive. I got this thing.
Yeah.
And basically pops the glaive out and throws it. And instead of smashing immediately, it takes about 4 minutes to drill through the dome.
This, again, no action in the movie Krull takes less than 4 minutes. Like, we're sinking in quicksand, 6 minute scene. The glaive is trying to get through the door to save the princess. 4 minutes of it cutting instead of smashing, cutting. The beast pops up after he saves Lissa, and he uses the glaive to kill the beast, and it just flies into the beast and sticks in him, and he's screaming, and nobody's dying, and then 4 minutes of Colwyn trying to use the Force to retrieve the glaive, and the glaive is like stuck in the beast. So then we have what I feel is like the main idea, or the idea behind the whole movie is it's not Colwyn.
Let's get married.
Hero. Right.
Yeah.
Let's finish the marriage that got fucked up early in the movie because of the attack. Mm-hmm. And let's team up and let love beat this fucking thing.
So she, I guess, because the marriage was on pause from where they ran away. So she suddenly has a ball of fire in her hand, and she gives it to Colwyn. That's the completion of the ritual. Royal people on this planet are immune to fire. We should just establish that.
100%.
No. Hurt. I don't know if it's like Johnny Storm level. I don't think they can fly, but they're not. I mean, that is why they were on flying horses that are made of fire. Because they're now married, they have now a pyrokinesis, and they just start torching the beast, which I think the glaive is still stuck in it at this point.
It is. The glaive never comes back out.
Yeah. So he basically sets the beast on fire. And I think if the special effects had been better, that would have been a really cool scene. But it, like you said, it has that Vaseline smeared fisheye lens thing for the beast, and you can't see its features. It just doesn't look good.
It's also very hard to tell the size of the beast.
Mm-hmm.
Is it supposed to be 30 feet tall? Is it kaiju size? Is it maybe 8 feet tall and it's just forced perspective? I can't tell.
Well, that's a common problem in this movie because they kept saying that Rel was 20 feet tall and he was like 8 feet tall standing on a rock, maybe.
Yeah, 100%. I would have thought, I was thinking this when I watched it, was the glaive doesn't kill the beast because the idea is that's going to take love and teamwork. And then, so the glaive doesn't kill it. I would have liked if the fire didn't either, and they realize that it's not working because they haven't consummated the marriage. So he's got to bend her over and pull her fucking skirt up, pound her a few times, and then the fire fucking sets the beast to death. But they do eventually defeat the beast with their magical love fire.
Bob Guccione's Krull, basically, what you want to see.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And as soon as the beast dies, as is wont in this type of movie, the castle starts to fall apart.
Well, it falls apart, but also takes off into space at the same time. Now,
it's
you would
doing
think
both.
One would contradict the other, but it manages to do both, collapse and take off.
Yeah. So we get a harried scene of our heroes. Here's who's left, by the way. Colwyn, Lissa, Titch, Ergo, and Torquil. The 5 of them. Oh, and I think, did the other kid, the younger kid with the longer hair, he survived or died?
I don't think he died. I think he survived.
Okay. So it's a harried attempt to get out of this place. They get out. Again, it's actually a really nice scene, really well shot. This beautiful field.
I think most of the movie looks beautiful, honestly. Even if it's a scene, I think the cinematography is pretty good in this, honestly.
Yeah, I don't think the movie looks bad. I just think that I think there's a couple of scenes where sets could have been, maybe supplanted with a real, physical place. But yeah, so they watch this thing happen, and then we get a voiceover that is essentially Ynir again, and it's the repeat of the beginning story of a king and a queen, a prince and a princess, who will rule this planet of Krull, and their
child shall rule the galaxy.
Yeah, very exciting. We never got that because, we'll talk about that.
Krull versus the World Crime League.
Yeah, we never got that. Prince Colwyn did not return in For Your Eyes Only. So let's get into it. Let's talk about the box office.
So I'm talking about fractions of a penny here. And over time, they add up to a lot.
All right, so this movie was made on a $47 million budget, which was a lot of money in 1982, 83. But it looks good. I mean, I do give it credit. There's some pretty good effects in this. A lot of sets, as we said, 10 sound stages, 23 sets. That's crazy. Yeah. But in the end, you cannot really make $16 million on that budget and expect anybody to really want to see another one of these.
And it's a shame. It's a shame. I wouldn't say this movie's great, but it doesn't deserve to have been a bomb. It should have done better.
Yeah,
I
I
think.
don't know. I would have, again, thinking back to 1983, I would have thought that this would have been very welcome, because like you said, there were a lot of those sword and sorcery
A
films.
ton. It was very popular, and
Yeah.
I don't know if this fell through the cracks or was overshadowed by Jedi or what, but
So let's see the top 5 that came out. Do you have the weekend it came out? Was it like July of 1983? I didn't write that down.
I have the Wikipedia open here. It was in the US, it was July 29th of 83.
July 29th of 83. So this would be July 29th through July 31st. Number 5. It made $5.3 million. It had been out for 3 weeks. The Sylvester Stallone directed Staying Alive. Yeah. Opening at number 4, $5.5 million. It is Krull. Krull opened at number 4. That's not great. Number 3, it had been out for 10 weeks, $5.7 million. Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. Number 2, out for 2 weeks, $7.3 million. A movie we did here years ago, Jaws 3D.
God.
Jaws 3D. And Krull opened against and got beaten badly by, with $8.3 million. Chevy Chase is Clark W. Griswold.
Really? Wow.
In National Lampoon's Vacation. Yeah. So Krull
A lot of parallels between Vacation and Krull, I think, if you think about it.
Yeah. The relationship between Rusty and the John Candy security guards a little bit suspect as Ergo and Tish.
Indeed.
Yeah, I get it. All right. So that is the box office for Krull. Let's get into it. Let's rate this fucking thing.
Uncle Wally is in here.
In here, this fucking guy.
Here it comes.
So here on the Pint, we do it on a 5 scale, 0 being the worst thing ever, 5 being the best thing ever, and quarter and half scale optional. I'll go first.
Okay.
Hadn't seen this in a long time. Last time I saw it was, again, as I mentioned, in the theaters, Riff Tracks. So that's, you can't really count it on that because you're there to laugh at it. Not something that I carried with me from childhood, right? Like we kind of talked about before. There are things that, you loved as a kid that, you are nostalgic about. There are things that you loved as a kid that you still love and you've pulled through. Krull is just one of those things that, I saw and I never, I didn't give a shit. It probably didn't help, and this is serious, that I don't think there were action figures. That was a big part of it back then.
It didn't have that footprint.
Right. You had to have the footprint, right? And as Patrick mentioned, I don't remember if it was off air or not, but, there was a 2-issue Marvel Krull series, as there were, back then, adaptations. The sets look good, but it certainly feels like we're in sets. It's got a very Star Wars-y concept, which I know isn't Star Wars by nature. There are things before that, but let's just use that as a blueprint for what people tend to copy in the 80s. You got the old man, you got the young prince who needs to defeat the evil that's invaded the world. It is a story as old as time. They do try to throw in a mixture of sci-fi and sword and sorcery stuff. We got some laser beams. We got some, we got a great score. I will agree with you on that. I noticed the score, quite a bit. This is my thing, right? If any podcast, if there's certain things you could say, oh, that's what John says on the Pint all the time. This is too fucking long, man.
It is. I forgot it was 2 hours, almost just shy of 2 hours, right?
It's 2 hours long. This movie did not need to be 2 hours long. Yeah. And I know I joked about it a lot, but some of the sequences could have been shortened. The sequence where they're taming the fire mares, it's not 11 minutes. It's probably 2 minutes, but it's 2 minutes. I didn't need that for 2 minutes. I didn't need, just certain other things. I didn't need Colwyn climbing that mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Five cuts to it. Him on one side to the other. Now he's on a fucking, he's holding on to a stalactite. I don't need that.
I feel the same about Tarantino's movies. Tarantino and Krull, very, very close. You
think he lingers on stuff too long?
I think his movies are always about 10, 15 minutes too long, but I can never say where I would cut it. Maybe just have characters walk more quickly.
Yeah, well, that's kind of where I'm at with this is, maybe just shorten some of the sequences a little bit. And again, it very much is, I know I joked about it, but the idea of this movie is a quest for the next quest. And then we're going to find the glaive. Then we're going to try to find out who can tell us where the Black Forest is. And then when that person dies, we're going to find the next person or the castle. Then that person's going to tell us where to find it, blah, 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 all that stuff. So honestly, I think when it comes down to it, I can't be heartless and get this in the ones, but I'm going to go with a flat 2. I certainly bought Krull probably about a year ago on Amazon on DVD for probably $7 because I said to myself, as I do often, I said to myself, that might be a good show episode. And you know what? $7, like, I don't mind putting that in my physical collection. But as I finished it yesterday, I said to myself, fuck, I'm not going to get rid of this, but I can't picture 3 years from now going, oh, I got to throw Krull in again. I can't picture it. So I'm going to Patrick. What do you think about Krull?
Now, I have a bit of an opposite reaction. I every time I watch Krull, after a few years, I forget what it was like watching Krull. And I give this movie an endless series of second chances because, like I said, I like the idea of it. I like a lot of the imagery. The glaive itself is something really kind of captivating about that image. It's just very unique to these kind of movies. I only watched it as an adult, but I watched it probably 7 or 8 times over the last couple decades. And every time I feel like I'm watching a new movie. It's like I don't remember anything. Nothing's stuck. So I don't know if that's good or bad. It lets me experience it again for the first time, sort of. But I also think that if it was really good, I would remember it better than I do. So.
Yeah, I understand that totally because we did an episode on The Insider maybe 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, where we did Escape from LA. And I always feel that's a movie that I'm always like, I'm going to like that the next time. And this last time I just said, this is it. Like,
I really wish that was better, but John Carpenter's just wrong. He thinks it's better than the first one.
Oh, that's not even the argument. I mean, I know he thinks that, but I understand what you're saying, where you're like, this is where I'm going to like finally catch on to Krull. Yeah. And yeah.
So there's a lot to like about the movie. Like I said, I think it really looks great. I don't mind this scenery esqueness because I don't know, that's of its time, and even the Black Fortress itself, which is kind of boring inside, it looks kind of antiseptic, and you would have thought it'd be like kind of grimier and more evil looking. It just looks like a big waiting room. But I like the forest. I like a lot of the scenery, the natural places they shoot. The characters weren't as annoying this time, except for one person. I always thought the not so merry men were a little annoying, but they're fine this time. Ergo is terrible. He's a terrible character. And what's terrible is that the movie forces other characters to pretend he's hilarious.
Okay, yeah.
That's annoying. That's annoying. But besides him, I don't think the movie's that bad. I think its main weakness is the story, the structure. Like you said, they get all the components in place. They get the weapon. They get the allies. And then they spend an hour trying to find this fucking guy. Like that's the meat of the movie. That's the main plot is we're lost. Where is he? And I think that's a strange way to structure like a quest like that, you know? You would put the weapon at the end. You know, I mean, you'd have different. It's just paced weirdly that way, where they get everything, and then it's just like, well, I don't know, should we go that way? And they, like you said, they keep going on a quest to find the next guy who's supposed to tell them where to go. So that's the weakest part of the movie for me is the actual story structure. But I think Ken Marshall's pretty good, honestly.
Yeah, he's not bad.
I keep wanting to call him Prince Krull. He's not Prince Krull. He's Prince Colwyn. Everything should be Krull except the movie title. I think he's got this kind of like not quite swashbuckling, but almost swashbuckling quality to him. He doesn't go over the top like Errol Flynn and Captain Blood or anything, but he's pretty good. Lizette Anthony is great in the 3 scenes we see her. She's just not in it that much to really give her a shot. Ynir, well, he's a little flat, I guess. I don't really get that character. He's a little weird. They're fine. No one's really terrible except for one person. So I would give it a 2.75, I think. Not awesome. Watchable.
I was thinking about your Krull naming conundrum, and I think I figured it out. I don't remember if you mentioned this early. The castle should have been called Krull, right?
That would be good.
That is
Fortress Krull or something like that.
Right. You don't have to call the movie Fortress Krull. You could call it that in the movie. You could say Fortress Krull, but you could just call it Krull because that really is the end goal, right?
Yeah.
And it's not like we see this whole planet. we just see this little section of it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like they call themselves Krullians.
Right. The Krullians.
Yeah. Crullers, I guess they call themselves.
The French Krullers. I love those.
It's a strange title, but it's beguiling because it sticks in your head. It's not like Deathstalker or Dragon Slayer.
It's probably
a
why
word
they
that has
use
no
it.
other. Yeah. So
It has no meaning, and it's oh, okay, Krull. I know what Krull is. Like, whether you know what Krull is about, you're like, oh, it's like fucking, that's that that circular blade thing, and
But it'd be like if they called Star Wars Yavin. Like, that doesn't really play a role in it. So
no, definitely not. All right, Patrick. Patrick, I got to thank you again. You switched nights because I fucked up on scheduling, so you were able to jump in.
It's a big deal, and it was a big effort for me.
Yeah. No, I would appreciate it if it was, or if it isn't, you were still able to.
Thank you for inviting me again to Humble Abode. So,
if you do not know where to find us, go to anywhere that you get podcasts and look up The Pint: a pop culture podcast. Episodes weekly. If you want to check out more than just our regular episodes, go to Patreon/The Pint. 2 extra episodes every month. So check us out anywhere you find us. We got a YouTube channel. On Instagram, that's our only social media. It's at The Pint Pop. And until next time, see ya.
Take care.
It's over, Johnny. It's over! Nothing is over! Nothing! You just don't turn it off!